What's going on, everybody? Welcome to Nerdgasm. Today we're going to be going over the season finale of Legion. It hurts my feelings, guys, that it's the end of the season and we're going to have to wait until next year to get more Legion. But don't worry, they do have a season 2. At least we can look forward to that. Alright, guys, the first thing I want to talk about is when the episode started, we see the guy from the first episode who is interrogating David, and he is back. And can you believe, guys, he's gay and has an adopted son? Nah, I'm just totally fucking with you guys. I don't care about that. What I do care about is the fact that his face was fucked up. Did you guys see his? Oh my god, his face was all kinds of fucked up. Oh my goodness. I was just glad he had a support group. If that guy didn't have that husband and son, he would have killed himself. Oh my goodness. That was terrifying. His face was just murderlated on one side. I feel really bad for him, but I kind of don't. And then he goes back to work and he talks about how he's going to go back into the field and he's going to start a war on mutant kind. Come on, guys. This is classic. Humans hate mutants, always trying to start a war, always thinking that mutants are going to start some shit. It's ridiculous. It gets old. And it's one of the biggest problems in the comic books is that how can you have people with superpowers, but mutants are the people who are used as the scapegoat for powered people? It's not fair. And right here, we get a great glimpse of that. But it doesn't matter. He's going back to war. He's going to go fight for Division 3. And did you guys see the freaking crazy pimp suit that he had in that awesome ass locker that just like whoop just comes right out of the freaking thing? And then he takes out his pimp. This guy is a pimp. He's a pimp. He gets burned in the face and he walks out a pimp. How many people can say that? He had a pimp cane and everything, guys. It was ridiculous. But something that we find out after he goes to confront David, there is a camera in his burnt eye. And now I didn't think about this until after I saw the episode, but you guys remember the character that was named The Eye? He also had a messed up eye. And for some reason, I just assumed that was related to his power, which was to kind of shapeshift into people that he touched or people that he ran into, I'm assuming was his power. It was really weird. It was like an illusion type shapeshifting power. But he also had a messed up eye. And now I'm realizing that Division 3 just put a camera in his eye. That's why his eye was messed up. It had nothing to do with his power. Because when he was on the astral plane in clockwork with everybody else, his eye was fine. But that was kind of cool. He comes out of being burned and they're like, hey, stick a camera in this guy's eye. We got to keep a track on him because we don't know what he might do. But going back to talking about David, he has control of his powers now. He's actually using them on a crazy scale. But he makes this whole freaking body tower of soldiers. And it was just beautiful because he didn't even flinch. He was like, no, we're not going to be doing this. And just boop. Body tower. It was great. I loved it. So we go back into Summerland, and has anybody else noticed that Patanomy is just hella mad? And he's talking about let's just kill them all. Let's just go fight a war. Patonomy's just pissed off he wasn't even in the last episode. Patonomy's just mad that no one went to go try and find him while other stuff was going on. So now he just wants to kill and shoot stuff. But while they're all talking, you can actually hear Lenny trying to get out, and she's like, hey kid, what's going on? You think they're going to help you? They're not going to help you. And it was really interesting to see because the power headband is malfunctioning. It's not working. It was a prototype. It's not the finished product. So I like how they have Lenny just trying to creep her way out the entire time. Then we move on to the thing between the Carries. When Carrie is keeping guard on the D3 agent, the other Carrie comes in and is going to offer that guy some water. Now, some people were expecting that there was a reason that they had this weird little slow motion scene and there was, dramatic music in the background and stuff like that. That's not actually what it was supposed to be. The reason that they set that up like that is because they were trying to show that even though Carrie was mad at the other Carrie, she still cared for him and she was paranoid. She thought something might happen, which is the reason she said on the table. It was just showing that she's pissed off and she doesn't want him to be there, but she still loves him and that bond between them isn't going anywhere just because she's mad. It was kind of sad, but I was glad to know that she still cared for him, so at least they would eventually get better. We also get to see in a scene that the device that David teleported outside is still outside, and it has grass just growing all around it. It's been out there for a while, and I guess they just don't have any plans to put it back inside the building. So when they finally get the D3 agent to go outside and see David, you see David hovering there, floating, meditating. And this is something straight out of the comics. If you guys have ever read the X-Men Legacy series, which is the last X-Men Legacy series that came out in 2013, it was all about Legion. Like 24 issues of nothing but Legion. And the first issue is him at a monastery, just meditating, floating in the air. So that was a great shot straight from the comic books. Next thing I want to talk about is Aubrey Plaza showing up to Sid instead of David. The Shadow King tells Sid that because you switched bodies with David that one time, I may not be able to talk to David, but I can piggyback and talk to you because we shared a mind one time. And I'm a little bit sad to say that even though Aubrey Plaza was jacked up and dying, I was still like, damn, Aubrey Plaza's crazy hot. And I don't mean crazy hot like super hot. I mean crazy hot as in that bitch is crazy and it's hot. And you can see the black stuff on her, and that's because the Shadow King is decaying, being trapped and put away from David. Now, I don't think eventually she would have left David's body if they had just been able to keep the headband on. The Shadow King would have tried to take David down with him if anything would have happened, which is actually what we see later on in the episode. But it was an interesting take on seeing the Shadow King being siphoned off and just on the end of his ropes, which is the reason that he needed to go to Sid to try and figure out how to get out. So they try to rip the Shadow King out of David, and we get something amazing. We get this whole scene of going through David's memories, and we see the Shadow King just being pulled from David's memories. And at first they think it's working, and I think it's working too, because the Shadow King shows up to David in his mind, and David's like, nope, not doing it with you. And he had control, guys, again, control over his powers, amazing stuff. And he even had the power to change the Shadow King into Lenny. But like the Shadow King said, the Shadow King wasn't going to go down without a fight. And while they were in his mind, the Shadow King was getting David to basically choke himself out because the Shadow King was not going to go anywhere. And like I said, if he was going to go down, he was going to take David with him. Now, this starts the chain events in a beautiful sequence, but I'm going to talk about that in a second. The first thing you guys need to see is we finally get a time era, guys. Now, everyone's always wondered what time period this show is in, and no one's been able to figure it out. And they've even said it's kind of, here and there, because what's the point of verifying a time period when we can just keep messing around with it because David's quote-unquote crazy. Now, while David's hooked up to the machines that are trying to pull the Shadow King out, you can actually see a date on there. It says the 8th of November, 2016. That can mean one of a few things. One, that's the era that we're in, 2016. Two, it's just the date that was on the machine and they didn't think about it, and so they didn't account for it, and it's just when they shot the episode. But they don't do anything in this show without ever actually thinking about it. Everything is there for a reason. I don't think that they would just accidentally forget to remove the date, but they are human. It's totally possible. I personally think that that's a date. That's a tell. That's them telling us when this is supposed to be happening. But I don't know. Let me know what you guys think in the comments. Moving on, we get this beautiful sequence with the Shadow King switching people. He jumps to Sid, and we just get this creepy, amazing smile. And oh my goodness, guys, it was great. And he goes from Sid, he takes off the gloves, boom, he jumps into Carrie, and then Carrie kicks the shit out of Carrie, and then just starts going on, messes up Patonomy. Patonomy keeps getting the shaft the entire last 2 episodes. And then we get to see the Shadow King use Shadow King's power, and he makes like a gun and he shoots Melanie Bird. What I'm assuming that was either TK or it was some form of telepathy that just like shut her down, which is possible. They've done it in the comic books. Professor Xavier has stopped people from moving with his telepathy. Possible the Shadow King just shut her down, but it would be cool if it was TK. But we do get to see him use TK when he flings the D3 agent across the hallway. And then we get to see more powers when him and David clash. Was anybody else thinking this is awesome? This is amazing. I can't wait to see David fight with the Shadow King. And then they do like this energy charge thing at each other and then just boom, just get blasted back. A little underwhelming, but you know what? I'm glad to see we got to see David, no Shadow King, 100% control of his powers, and then the Shadow King in somebody else's body, totally messing with David. And the backlash causes the Shadow King to just be ejected from Carrie's body, which I thought was kind of weird, and flies into the body of Oliver Bird. Now, David was like cocky as fuck when he first went to go fight the Shadow King. I do not think that he thought that Oliver Bird was going to get trapped. Now, something that is kind of cool that I thought they were doing on purpose was the fan that's spinning behind David, guys. I know it's just a normal fan. It could be another X thing. It could easily be, David's free, he's cocky, he has his power back, and he is a good guy, not a bad guy. So they have this whole X thing going on behind him, like, X-Men. It was just a small thing. I think it is. It even looks more like an X because of the light that's shining through it, the shadow on the floor. More like an X than the fan actually does because the fan is really big. Personally, I just think they're doing it. I think that they like to throw the X shape in there wherever they can, however they can. So that's just me. But after the battle, we see Oliver Bird get possessed by the Shadow King, and he just leaves, right? He's in a better body. The eyes aren't glowing like they were on everybody else, which I'm assuming means Oliver Bird is a better host than everybody else was. I mean, it makes sense, right? In the comic books, Amal Farouk was a telepath that could go onto the astral plane. That was the Shadow King's first known host. So it makes sense that he would jump into Oliver Bird, who is, again, another telepath who can go onto the astral plane, very powerful, and there's no problems. So as Oliver Bird leaves, we see that he actually sees Lenny. And Lenny actually has a change of wardrobe. I don't know if you guys noticed that. Her hair is different, and now she's wearing like this dress. It's possible that Oliver Bird is seeing Lenny as Melanie. Because remember, the Shadow King can jump to your memories, and it can change all of your memories and make it seem like it's always been there, always been your friend. It's very possible that he's seeing her how the Shadow King wants him to see her. And the Shadow King is using Oliver's memories of having discovered Melanie again to get Oliver to do what the Shadow King needs. Now, something that I thought was hilarious was when Oliver Bird asked Lenny, where do you want to go? And Lenny says, somewhere warm. I thought this was great because Oliver Bird's been trapped in an ice cube for years now. So them saying somewhere warm, I felt like was more than just the Shadow King wanting to go somewhere warm. I don't think Oliver Bird would have gone somewhere cold, to be honest. What was really great about all of the stuff that happened was that it kind of debunks the whole everyone's a personality theory. It seems likely that none of them were personalities. They're all real. Everyone was really trying to help David, and David's fear of being crazy, it all just seems like it goes out the window. It seems like David can finally recover and get his sanity back to where it needs to be. Unfortunately, this is short-lived. If you guys watched till after the credits, you saw the scene where like this little ball shows up and starts scanning David, and then it absorbs David into itself and just flies away. And nobody helps. Like, Sid doesn't even scream. Sid just fucking stands there, and she's like looking around like, she doesn't say anything. What the scream, man? If you see something, say something. I feel like little children know that, man. But this little orb reminded me of a scene from the X-Men Legacy comic books when David is sitting on a bench and these orbs come down, and David had committed some space crimes, and they're like, you can't escape space justice. It was an adorable scene because these orbs are hilarious because they don't know anything. They just run around following you, saying that you can't run from space justice. But that's what I thought it was. Of course, some people are thinking that this is when Mojo's finally going to show up, and this orb was sent by Mojo, and Mojo's going to have Legion use his powers to fight other people, which would be really cool. Other people thought that it might be the Equinox thing that D3 was talking about. And if you guys didn't know, Equinox in the comic books is a mutant who has the powers of both Human Torch and Iceman. And Equinox has been a hero and a villain. So it's very possible that Equinox might be a mutant that'll show up in the next season. Or maybe this is just the name of the weapon. They named it Equinox. I doubt it though. Guys, this episode was really good. It wasn't as crazy and jam-packed as the last episode because that black and white scene with Aubrey Plaza was amazing. And I can understand why some people would feel like it was a little underwhelming, the fight scene with the Shadow King and how it ended with Oliver Bird just leaving like that. When you think about what they just did, they took a mutant of Omega level capability and made him relatable to people. And then they did this whole 8-episode story arc. They gave us an amazing story that we had to question what was real the entire 8 episodes. And then even at the end of the episode, when you think that David finally has some room to finally recover and get his sanity back, and eventually he'll be the Omega level mutant that no one can relate with, it's just one breakdown after another, and the pressure is just still on David. He's had no breathing room. He gets out of the Shadow King, he gets his girlfriend, then what happens? He gets abducted. Right when he's about to just take a deep breath and just go take a walk in the woods and relax, he just boom, another hit right then and there. It's beautiful because it keeps our main character on his toes and off balance. David won't be able to be the character that no one can relate with if he keeps getting beat on every single episode with no breathing room. That makes him an amazingly relatable character. And on that note, they did a great job, and I cannot wait to see what they're going to do in season 2. But I want to hear what you guys have to say. I want to hear what you guys thought about this episode and what you think is going to happen when season 2 comes around, which is 10 episodes, by the way, instead of 8. Yes. Tell me what you guys thought about this episode. Tell me if I missed anything. Tell me what was your favorite part of the episode, guys. I want to thank you guys for being just amazingly supportive of this entire series and everything on this channel. And I'm going to let you guys know now, trust me, just because Legion's on pause for right now does not mean there's not going to be more Legion stuff on this channel. I promise you. Legion is like one of my favorite things to be doing right now. I'm not going to stop just because there are no episodes. There's still tons of stuff about Legion to learn and tons of stuff that we can do. But thank you guys for watching. Thank you for being here for this entire season and just the amazing run. Make sure you guys let me know any suggestions that you have for other stuff in the comments, because now that Legion's done and the other stuff is on hiatus until next month, so you guys have a lot to say in the direction that this channel's about to make. Again, I'm going to thank you guys. Just thank you. And I hope to see you guys in the next video. Goodbye.